Hello and welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Today we take a look at another notorious prison in the UK criminal justice system. HMP Wakefield is a high security prison for men, typically in category A's and B. It is one of 8 high security prisons across England and is a main life centre with a focus on serious sex offenders. HMP Wakefield has been a site of a prison since 1594. The current prison is built around a Victorian style floor plan. There are 4 main residential wings, A, B, C and D. Each wing has 4 levels and holds approximately 185 prisoners in single cells. A major refurbishment of the accommodation was completed in 2006. This gave the facility of kitchens on all units so that the prisoners can prepare their own meals. Association areas were also provided on each unit. B wing houses a small unit for remand prisoners with a separate and contained regime. It also houses prisoners with serious physical disabilities in special larger cells. A separate wing houses the segregation unit and the close supervision unit. HMP Wakefield was given a full inspection in the summer of 2018 and the report had this to say. HMP Wakefield is a high security establishment holding category A and B prisoners. At the time of this inspection, there were some 700 being held in the jail. The vast majority were serving sentences of more than 10 years, and included some of the most challenging and complex prisoners in the country. Despite this, the prison was calm and had an atmosphere that spoke of good order, safety, security, and decency. This was reflected in the assessments under our 4 healthy prison tests. In particular, the improved assessment of purposeful activity and the continuing highest possible assessment of good in that area of respect. The identification and promulgation of good practice is, I believe, a key function of the inspection process. To that end, I would urge the readers to pay particular attention to the examples cited in section 5 of this report. They include a varied and impressive set of initiatives and good work drawn from across all of the healthy prison tests. A problem that was not unique to Wakefield, but which is particularly acute there, was that of transferring prisoners under the Mental Health Act to secure accommodation. Because of the totally unacceptable delays in doing so, many prisoners across the estate are held in conditions that are not in any way therapeutic, and indeed many cases clearly accelerate their conditions. This is a national strategic issue to which we have made reference to many times in inspection reports. The situation at Wakefield was yet another example of prisoners with severe illnesses not receiving the care that they needed. It is clearly something that is beyond the capability of either individual prisons or HM Prison and Probation Service, the HMPPS, to resolve. Therefore, in view of the fact that to date there has been no effective response to this issue, on this occasion, I am taking the unusual step of making a recommendation directly to the prison minister in a hope that he can use his influence to initiate effective cross-departmental action to address the problem. We found HMP Wakefield to be an essentially respectful prison, with many examples of good relationships and interactions between staff and prisoners. However, in many such establishments, our survey revealed that black and minority ethnic prisoners had a poorer perception of their treatment and condition than their white counterparts. These negative perceptions needed to be understood. Until this happened, there will be no way of knowing whether the negative perceptions were justified or not. And even if they were not, the negative perceptions themselves needed to be taken seriously and addressed. Despite the fact that we had found an overall improvement in that area of purposeful activity, there was still a need to provide sufficient activity places for the entire population. This would then complement the adequate time out of cell that was already available to those who were employed. The introduction of key workers offering an ongoing link between individual prisoners and identified officers was a key strategic initiative. Early indications were that this could be a highly significant development, and once it was fully embedded, could well offer the opportunity for further improvement in the area of rehabilitation and release planning. By any standard, this was a good inspection, which was highly credible given the complexity of the prison. The high standards, good practice and improvements which we have seen being achieved were the result of hard work and dedication of those who took it very seriously as their responsibility to keep safe and secure the prisoners which were in their care. HMP Wakefield offers a range of regime activities that encourages offenders to make the necessary changes which can help them to lead law-abiding lives in the custody and after release. These activities include charity work, where offenders make commissioned pieces of art, garden furniture, stained glass, and model work. Offending behaviour programs include courses for those with substance abuse problems, sexual offending histories, and a general need to enhance their thinking process. An additional course called Foundation helps give offenders the necessary insights they require before accessing further programs. There is a dedicated team of staff who assess the needs of offenders with disabilities, those who are over 60, and foreign national offenders. The prison offers numerous intervention programs. These include Thinking Skills Program, TSP, including a new updated core extended adapted sex offender treatment programs, or commonly known as SOTP, a healthy sexual functioning program, HSFP. There is a course called Focus, which addresses drug and alcohol treatment programs, Carrots, which is a relapse prevention program, one-to-one sessions and detox referrals, auricular acupuncture, pre-release and offender development, and a voluntary drug testing scheme. Psychological services and support are provided to those prisoners who require help. The canteen is provided by DHL to all offenders who can order items from a shopping list, including fresh produce for collection throughout the wing on a wing rota basis. The gymnasium facility at HMP Wakefield offers an extensive selection of activities that operate on a rotation to ensure all offenders have access to a range of physical activities. Specialised classes are also offered, including over 60 afternoon sessions. The kitchens are run by a mix of civilian and approximately 30 offenders, providing meals for the whole establishment. The food offered caters for the majority of religious, cultural, and medical diets. A new initiative of NVQ certificated training qualifications is at present being developed in a specially designed training kitchen, as well as in the main prison kitchen itself. This enables offenders who are keen to work in this area to be involved in the process and be motivated in the process of large-scale catering. The chaplaincy team is of multiple faiths. It provides pastoral care for offenders and staff and endeavours to enable all offenders to practice the religion of their choice, privately or cooperatively. The faiths covered include Catholic, Church of England, Islam, Paganism, Jehovah's Witness, Rastafarianism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism and Judaism. The healthcare which is linked to the prison is West Yorkshire, who undertook the full commissioning responsibility in April of 2006. There is a unit with 4 cells and a camera observation for those offenders at particular risk of medical difficulties. The unit also houses a crisis suite for offenders who are of an exceptional risk of self-harm or suicide. In addition to these facilities, the unit offers an inpatient ward and several clinics. HMP Wakefield is one of the most dangerous prisons in the country. But what is it like for the people who work there and for the people who live in and around the area? Behind the high walls and barred up windows of HMP Wakefield live some of the most evil and depraved men alive. But just yards away from Wakefield Prison lies a quiet community-driven street called Victoria Avenue. The two settings couldn't be higher in contrast to one another. HMP Wakefield, which is just off Love Lane, is classed as a high security Category A men's prison and has become known nationwide for holding some of the most depraved criminals in Britain. Some of the most notorious inmates in the country have spent time in HMP Wakefield. These names include Harold Shipman, who was considered to be the most prolific serial killer in UK history, the black cab rapist John Warboys, and Ian Watkins, who is serving 29 years imprisonment for 13 sexual offences. It has also been revealed that Robert Maudsley, who has been dubbed the most dangerous prisoner in the UK, is kept locked away in a glass cell in the basement of the prison for 23 hours a day. We will be making a documentary on Mr. Maudsley very soon, so please don't forget to check it out. However, despite the notoriety of the men inside, the majority of residents living in houses just yards away from the prison have said that they feel perfectly safe. Richard Smart, who worked at HMP Wakefield for 4 years and now lives on Victoria Avenue, said, "The security in that place and how it is run is second to none. So yes, I do feel secure." When asked about his time spent working in Monster Mansion, Mr. Smart said, "It didn't bother me particularly, because you are trained to keep the prisoners at arm's length. You've got to keep your wits about you, but it's still a very, very secure place. I never felt frightened at any time." However, other residents have not expressed the same safety. Keisha, who lived behind the area of HMP Wakefield for 3 years, admitted that sometimes she worries about what could happen if an incident at the prison did arise. She said, "On a morning, there's just me and the little one in the house. I don't know if it's a mother's instinct, but I do find it a little scary just in case something ever did happen. I know the chances are very slim, but you have to think about it." An annual report published by the prison watchdog, the Independent Monitoring Board, also known as the IMB, described the practices of HMP Wakefield as simply unacceptable. There is a rule in the UK prison system known as Prison Rule 45. This rule allows governors to isolate prisoners from the general population. The report by the IMB of HMP Wakefield expressed extreme concern for one inmate who has been separated for 949 days collectively at Wakefield and at another high security prison. It is reported that this prisoner is still in isolation today. 3 other prisoners had served 100, 200 and 300 days under Rule 45 at HMP Wakefield. Segregated prisoners are placed on the F wing, which has 21 cells, and an additional 8 cells, which prisoners can be monitored under close supervision. The IMB said there was a lack of evidence of the prison being able to manage prisoners with complex behaviours, such as those with the ability to commit extreme acts of violence and end up in segregation. The IMB added that the practice of long-term segregation and the physical environment at HMP Wakefield was more likely than not to induce rather than prevent mental ill health. The IMB criticised the practice of the prisoners being moved from one segregation unit to another at the new high security prison, referred to in the report as long-term high security estates. The report reads, "What we see at HMP Wakefield is a merry-go-round of seg-to-seg transfers which appear to be facilitated by informal negotiations between the governors. This is simply wrong and must be ceased. Transferring problematic prisoners around the long-term high-security estates without a long-term plan is unlikely to provide any meaningful opportunities to tackle the root causes of their behaviour." In other areas, the report found that through 2020 and 2021, self-harming incidents had significantly increased, with the number of individuals who self-harmed being more than doubled from 72 to 158. However, they found the violent incidents in the prison had reduced from 177 to 113. Overall, they found the prison to be a safe, orderly and disciplined prison. But due to the violent nature of some of the inmates, there is an ever-present threat to other prisoners and staff. They also added that the prisoners are, on whole, treated fairly, aside from the Prison Rule 45 issue, and that their physical health needs are generally met. At the time of writing the report, the IMB noted that there are currently 740 prisoners at the Love Lane prison, including 285 of those serving life sentences. What are your opinions on HMP Wakefield? Do you agree that the staff are doing a good job looking after some of the most dangerous prisoners in the UK? What are your opinions of Prison Rule number 45? Do you agree that prisoners should be kept isolated away from others for long periods of time? Or do you think this will just make the problem much worse? Have you or anyone you know ever been to HMP Wakefield? Please let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like and share. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed the Street Crime UK content, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you can join us on the next video. Thank you for joining us today, and until next time, stay safe.